Just to remind you that Plag HaMincha is 1 hour and a quarter, 1.25 hours before Shkia. You cannot start Shabbat before that time. As we said, Tzet HaKochavim goes by Shalosh Kochavim Beinoniyim, middle-sized, medium-sized stars. It's very hard to know what that is, and therefore we wait 42 minutes. If I gave you candle lighting time on the test, let's say 4:27, if I wanted you to figure out when Shabbat ends based on candle lighting time, you would add 18 minutes plus 42 minutes. That's 60 minutes. That's an entire hour. 18 and 42 is 60. So an hour later is Motzei Shabbat, but sometimes on Motzei Shabbat, Shkia, sunset, could be a little bit later. So to just make sure, we add 2 minutes to that. So it's an hour and 2 minutes. You could for sure turn on your phone an hour and 2 minutes after candle lighting. So if I tell you candle lighting is at 4:27, what time is Motzei Shabbat? You should be able to tell me 5:29. 29, you should be able to turn on your phone. Shabbat starts by itself. Shabbat matchila be'atzma. By itself. You can't stop it. It's not negotiable. Bishkia. K'shahashemesh shoka'at shkia, sunset, Shabbat starts. Safek yom, safek laila. And we're machmir with the safek. We're more strict. However, to be mosif, to add 18 minutes, that is a minhag. We do Tosefet Shabbat, that is a mitzvah. But how much is your Tosefet Shabbat? That's a minhag. Our minhag is 18 minutes. Yerushalayim has 40 minutes before Shkia, before sunset. What are you allowed to do during those 18 minutes? If you started Shabbat during those 18 minutes, so Shabbat started, you're not allowed to say, oh, I didn't really want to start Shabbat. It's too late. Once you decided to start Shabbat, it's Shabbat. If a woman lights candles and she doesn't say anything about it, then it's too late. She has to start Shabbat. But what can you do? So Rav Moshe Isserles, the Ramah, the Ashkenazi rabbi in the Shulchan Aruch, points out that even though you start Shabbat early, and let's say after Plag HaMincha, obviously, you can tell a Jew without hinting. No hint necessary. You could actually tell a fellow Jew, oh, I forgot to turn on the light in the bathroom. Could you turn it on for me? That's perfectly okay. During Shabbat, you're not allowed to do that. Obviously, you can't ask a Jew to do something during real Shabbat, but you can't even ask a guy to do it. You would have to hint to him, oh my God, there's no light on in the bathroom, and he has to figure it out himself. And of course, you can also tell a goy, the Mishnah Berurah points out, the Chafetz Chaim points out, you could tell a goy also to turn on a light, turn off a light for you when it's the time that before Shabbat. That's Tosefet Shabbat, your addition to Shabbat. On page 26 are the musagim that you have to know, all these musagim. 27, there's questions. You have to know all of these things. When it comes to Hadlakat Nerot, we started off saying Tiknu Chachamim. Hadlakat Nerot is a Takanat Chachamim, which means that the rabbis started the mitzvah of Hadlakat Nerot. It doesn't say in the Torah that you have to light candles. That's Dirabanan. It's not from the Torah. Why did the rabbis say that you have to light candles? So we had different reasons for that. In the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, it says that, this is on page Kuf Nun, that it's a Lichvod Shabbat, to give respect to the Shabbat. In what way do you give respect to the Shabbat? So it says here in Rashi that Kavod Shabbat is that every important Su'udah, if you have a nice meal in a restaurant, they have a candle-lit meal. And that is giving respect to the meal. It gives respect to the people sitting there, and it gives respect to the Shabbat as well. So it's just respectful for Shabbat. The other thing is, we said Kavod Shabbat, we learned already before, is a mitzvah to prepare for Shabbat. And you have to prepare properly before Shabbat by lighting candles so that you can see in your house. You don't want to have a house that's not lit. So it's a part of Kavod Shabbat. It is respectful to Shabbat, but it's also a way to prepare for Shabbat. Two other reasons why we light candles for Shabbat. One of them is that wherever there is light, there is also peace in the house. B'makom she'ein ner ein shalom. If there's no candles, if there's no light, it's not peaceful. People are nervous. They're going to trip over something. They don't get along so well. People are going to sheholech v'nichshal. People are going to trip. V'holech ba'afela. You're walking in the dark. It's dangerous, and therefore Nerot Shabbat bring shalom bayit. It brings peace to the house. That it's not going to be dark in this house. It's going to actually have light, and people will get along better. People have a sense of getting along when they can see what they're doing. But if they trip over something that their little brother left, they're just going to get angry, and there will not be peace in the house. So the second reason is shalom bayit. The third reason, the Rambam says, is oneg Shabbat. Oneg Shabbat, we learned already, is a concept of enjoying the Shabbat. And we enjoy the Shabbat when you could see where you're going and what you're doing. The next thing that we said was there are different levels of lighting candles. The original din of lighting candles was to light one candle. That's all we had to do, al pi din. But the minhag that everyone has, almost everyone has, is that we light 2 candles. And then there is another minhag, so many people have, that however many people they have in their family, they light that. So if they have 5 children, they light 7 candles, the 2 parents and the 5 children. So there's the ikar ha-mitzvah, the main mitzvah, which was originally just 1 candle. And then we have our minhag that is pashut, that is spread, that everyone follows, is to light 2 candles. And some people light as many candles as they have in their home. The best way to light candles, the most beautiful way to light candles, it says mitzvah, min ha-muvchar, the best way to do the mitzvah is to light with shemen zayit, to use olive oil, because that is more beautiful. But there's really nothing wrong with having candles, but it's better to have olive oil. And you should try to buy beautiful candlesticks, pamutim, or candlesticks, to beautify the mitzvah as well. That's called hidur mitzvah. Hidur mitzvah is to do the mitzvah in a way that's pretty. Now we had a machloket between the mechaber, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, who's the Sfaradi rabbi, and the Ramah, who was the Ashkenazi rabbi in the Shulchan Aruch. The Mechaber says that when you light candles, you're supposed to make the bracha first, kodem adlaka. First you make the bracha, and then you light the candles. Truth is, that's what we do by every mitzvah. Kol ha-mitzvot mevrachim aleim over la'asiyatam. We make the bracha before we perform the mitzvah. That's how we do it. Over la'asiyatam. That is a musag that you have to know. Okay? And therefore the Mechaber says that's how we light candles as well. We first make the bracha lifnei ha'hadlaka. Matai mevrachim alaka leot lifnei ha'hadlaka, according to the Mechaber. However, the Ramah says, no, you can't do that. We're going to light first and only then make the bracha. What's the reason for that? So the Mechaber's reason we just said, because every mitzvah we make the bracha first and then we do the mitzvah. So here too we make the bracha first and then we do the mitzvah. But the Ramah says, wait a second, I believe that when you make the bracha, you're already starting Shabbat. And if you started Shabbat, you can't light the candles. Asur lahadlik. Once you made the bracha and started Shabbat, you're not allowed to light candles on Shabbat. And therefore the Ramah says you should light first and then cover your eyes and then make the bracha. Why do we cover our eyes? Because the main part of the mitzvah is to get pleasure from the candles. That's what we're trying to do, get pleasure. So if I don't get pleasure from the candles, I haven't really fully fulfilled the mitzvah. So if I cover my eyes, I haven't done the mitzvah yet. So if I light the candles, cover my eyes, then make the bracha, and then open my eyes, then really when I open my eyes, that's when I really start the mitzvah. So it's almost like I'm doing over la'asiyatam. Okay. Now, obviously, the problem with the Ramah's din is that we always do over la'asiyatam. How come here we're not making the bracha first? And he explained, because you can't make the bracha and then light. However, how does he have over la'asiyatam? He sort of achieves over la'asiyatam. He's making the bracha before he uses the candles. He covers his eyes and then he makes the bracha, and then he uncovers his eyes, and that's how he That's how he fulfills the mitzvah. However, on Yom Tov, since you're allowed to light candles, you can only light from an already lit candle. But on Yom Tov, since you can light a candle on Yom Tov, everyone makes the bracha first and then lights. Both the Mechaber and the Ramah say that on Yom Tov, you make the bracha first and then you light. Women try to make sure they're ready for Shabbat before they light candles. Minhag hanashim lirchotz gufam, take showers, vilbosh bigdei Shabbat, and wear the proper Shabbat clothes. Lifnei tchila kodem, before v'achar kach ladlik ner, so that when they light candles, they're totally ready for Shabbat. They don't have to be worried that Shabbat's starting and they're not ready. That's a nice thing to do. In addition, whenever they light candles, they're really accepting Shabbat, which means they first have to pray mincha, and only then they can light the candles, because mincha is related to Friday, and lighting candles already begins Friday night, which is Shabbat already. So you can't have that. You cannot allow someone to pray mincha after they've already lit candles, because it's already Shabbat. You can't pray a prayer for Friday if it's already Shabbat. So there's one way out. If a woman's pressed for time and she wants to pray mincha and she wants to take a shower and is getting close to Shabbat, so she's allowed to light candles. She's allowed to make a condition. Tanai is a condition. That's a word you need to know. B'dibur, she has to say it. Okay? She'ina chafetza lekabel Shabbat. I'm lighting, but I'm not accepting Shabbat. And if she lights and doesn't accept the Shabbat, then she can pray mincha after, or then she can get into a car to go somewhere after. But if she lights candles and doesn't make this condition, doesn't make this tanai, then she's in trouble. I mean, not in trouble. She can't do anything. She can't pray mincha, and she can't do anything against Shabbat. However, if a man lights candles for whatever reason, his wife is out of town and he has to light candles, he does not need to make that condition, because there are no men who really start the Shabbat with candle lighting. Every man goes to shul and prays mincha after his wife lights candles. So no man accepts Shabbat when his wife lights candles. He should accept Shabbat early after he finishes mincha, but he does not have to make this condition. If he lights, he's allowed to light Shabbat candles, make the bracha, and get into the car. A man also would make the bracha first, because the bracha definitely doesn't accept Shabbat. When does a man accept Shabbat? When does a man start Shabbat? A man usually starts Shabbat when after he prays mincha, or when he says boi kala in l'chadodi, or mizmor shel yom HaShabbat. Some even say baruch hu, the beginning of arbit. Okay, ma'ariv, as we say. The main mitzvah of lighting candles is that it should be where you eat, in the dining room, and that's the best place to light. Not everyone lights in the dining room, and if you light in a different room, that's okay, but we do not light and then move the candles. That's actually forbidden. We learned there are two reasons why you're not allowed to move the candles once they're lit. One is that they are you want people to understand that these lights were made, these candles were lit for the mitzvah of Hadlakat Nerot, and so therefore we leave them where we lit them. Otherwise it looks like you're using it like a flashlight or a lantern. We don't want that. The other reason is because it's muktzeh, the actual candle. You're not allowed to move around any candle on Shabbat because it's muktzeh. It's something that you're not supposed to move. Muktzeh is specifically an item that I'm not allowed to move on Shabbat. And the third reason is because when I move it, I am also kind of extinguishing. I'm putting it out, and extinguishing is, because the candle flickers, and when it flickers, it partially goes down the fire and it goes up a little bit. So I'm extinguishing and relighting at mechabeh and mav'ir at the same time, and that is definitely asur on Shabbat. That if a boy is in the dorm, he doesn't light because his mother's lighting at home. However, a man who's married and away from home on a business trip, let's say in a hotel, he does light outside of his house. We also learned that if we have married daughters that come to visit our house, then everyone lights candles. However, there are two minhagim. The mother-in-law is, according to Sfaradim, the only person who lights and makes the bracha, whereas for Ashkenazim, everyone lights and makes the bracha. So that's a machloket between Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. Who makes the bracha on the candles? Everyone lights, but who makes the bracha? And those who don't make the bracha, let's say the daughters-in-law or the daughters, they should listen to the bracha and amen, and then light. Nowadays, part of the mitzvah are the lights that are in the house, all the electric lights. And therefore, when someone is lighting candles, they should have those in mind. And if you're in a hotel and you can't light a candle because it's against the law, then you can light an electric light and make a bracha on that. The minhag, as Chacham